favorites. We're the other guys.
It's not that I'm lazy. It's that I just don't care.
Oh, you following me, Mr. Turner?
You do not talk about Fight Club.
I see dead people. I know Kung Fu.
Groovy, baby!
First things first.
Buzz Lightyear mission log.
Hi guys, Geekshoe64 here. Today is a special video. I am beginning a new series looking back at previous years in film. The idea for this series was to look back at a time before YouTube. In recent years there have been an abundance of film reviewers on YouTube sharing their thoughts on movies. There is no shortage of great reviews out there. They make lists of the top 10 and top 10 worst, and I just enjoy talking about movies, so I always check these out. But there really isn't that much content out there for older films. I mean, pre-YouTube era films, that's what I'm talking about. And I decided on 1999 because of its wide variety of movies. And I'm hoping this is something like opening up a time capsule. And the way that I'm doing this is by splitting this into two parts. In my first video, I talked about a variety of films, as well as my picks for the 3 worst movies of 1999. Here in part 2, I have 12 films on my top list of 1999 because I couldn't get it down to 10, and this is my list, so I'll just do what I want. And we're going to go ahead and kick off this countdown with...
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in at number 12 is October Sky. October Sky, I don't think a lot of people remember this movie. It is one of Jake Gyllenhaal's earliest movies. It takes place in the late 50s and revolves around a high school student who wants to build rockets after Sputnik went into space. He lives in a coal mining town, and his father expects to see him give up his dream of building rockets to be a practical coal miner. It's not an original story by any means, but October Sky is based on the true story of Homer Hickam, so that gives it a little bit more weight. And I'm a sucker for period movies. I do own this one on Blu-ray and recommend you checking it out. If any part of my description interests you, please check it out.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in number 11 is Bicentennial Man. This is one of the lesser known Robin Williams movies, and this movie is actually based on an Isaac Asimov novella about robots' journey to become human over a couple hundred years. This is a completely different book, but it is written by Isaac Asimov, the Foundation trilogy, recommend that. Side note, okay, let's continue. A little over a third of the movie revolves around Robin Williams as a robot named Andrew in a sitcom-style setting with a family. There he learns what it means to be human, with Sam Neill noticing the spark of curiosity and choosing to treat him as a person and not a piece of equipment. When he finally does go off on his own journey of self-discovery, we realize that robots were kind of like a fad, and it quickly faded, and Andrew may be the last of his kind. The whole movie does have a bit of a Forrest Gump vibe to the whole thing, which works fine by me. It's a good movie with some comedy and drama. It does get a little bit sappy at times, especially towards the end, so it doesn't finish as strong as I think it should be, but I still like Bicentennial Man.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in at number 10, Mystery Men. This movie was ahead of its time, however I can't say that it's aged particularly well. They were clearly making fun of the Schumacher Batman films with this one. Captain Amazing is really just a commentary on those Batman films' lust for merchandise, and they kind of cross it over with another DC Comics superhero called Booster Gold. He was all about the merch. This is the story of some no-name, hapless, powerless superheroes taking on a supervillain called Casanova Frankenstein, which is one of the best names ever. This movie was a little dumb at times, but it knew that it was dumb. It falls into that category being bad, but in all the right ways to make a funny comedy. With the boom in superhero films over the last 10 years, this is a fun comedy that pokes fun at the whole genre before it really was a genre that the mainstream kind of knew about. My favorite scene is with Ben Stiller as Mr. Furious. He just kind of freaks out on this bad guy's car. I gotta show it to you. So yeah, Tell me you didn't laugh at that. If you've never seen Mystery Men, check it out with some friends. You'll definitely get some good laughs out of it.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in at number 9, The Mummy, the movie that did the impossible by making Brendan Fraser a viable action star. This movie is still a fun one to watch. Sure, the effects don't hold up all that well, but it's a fun action movie that's very aware of what it is. It harkens back to the old Universal monster flicks, while giving us some fun 90s cheesy action adventure. Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull should have taken a few notes from this film. The Mummy knew what it was doing. And also, Universal should take notes of their own films because their attempts at a shared dark universe crashed and burned before it even got off the ground. Remember that Mummy movie with Tom Cruise? That was bad. Honestly, the whole thing is The Mummy knew you need to remember to have a little fun and adventure while retelling old school monster flicks. Honestly, if they did this, their shared universe probably would have worked out. As it sits, Brendan Fraser's The Mummy is still the best somehow.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Number 8, Tarzan. Not my favorite Disney animated movie, but still an enjoyable one with a very cool look to it. The scenes with Tarzan moving through the jungle are awesome, though I never understood how he didn't get splinters while he was just root skating. Did anybody else think of that, or am I just weird? Oh well. There is some great action, and I really like Tarzan and Jane as characters. I think they work really well. I kind of wish the animal sidekicks were funnier or more interesting. They were very basic, even for a Disney movie. The Tarzan story has been told and retold and told again, but in my opinion, one of the greatest things about this version is Phil Collins' soundtrack. It is not to the level of Lion King or Aladdin, but it still has some very memorable songs like Strangers Like Me and Son of Man. I personally like that they overlay these songs instead of having the characters sing the songs. Tarzan is somewhere in the middle of the road for me when it comes to Disney animated movies. It's definitely better than average, however it's coming in at number 8 on my list of 1999.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Number 7, Fight Club. I have a lot to say about this movie, too much to cram into this video. And you may ask why I actually have 2 copies of this film on Blu-ray. I would tell you, but we all know the first rule of Fight Club, so you're out of luck.
The first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Number 6, The Sixth Sense. Wow, what a coincidence. M. Night has become a bit of a joke over the last few years, and with good reason in my opinion. He's put out some really bad movies. But Sixth Sense was M. Night Shyamalan's breakout hit. It is not my favorite film of his. I kind of like Signs and Unbreakable more, but I do really appreciate The Sixth Sense. It's my 3rd favorite. It might have been my first if the twist had not been ruined. As a kid, everyone went around school saying, "I see dead people.
I see dead people.
I see dead people. I see dead people. I see dead people. I see dead people. I see dead people." Sorry I had to do that. But a bigger spoiler was about Bruce Willis, which I won't mention just in case you are one of the 100 people on this entire planet who have not had this ruined. Haley Joel Osment has arguably the best performance of a child actor in this. And when you combine that with some amazing directing, you feel the terror that this kid lives with every hour of every day. It's really good. I'm not into horror movies. I do love suspense movies, and this is one of the best suspense films out there.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming to number 5, Office Space. I've always heard about this movie, but obviously I was a kid when it came out, so it isn't like I was going to identify with the characters, and nothing about the description ever really enticed me. I did finally get around to watching it after all these years, and man, I completely identify with these characters. I really enjoyed the first half of this movie so much. It's a very basic movie and an even more basic comedy, but it works so well because of how basic and relatable it is. I loved Office Space. Office Space is a great movie. It's funny. You should check it out. Does anybody else have any more comments about Office Space?
Oh, yeah. Let me tell you something about TPS reports.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Number 4, Galaxy Quest. This movie was meta before meta knew it was meta. Think about that for a second. Okay, moving on. It was really ahead of its time. Galaxy Quest took the Star Trek fan base and made a movie about washed-up actors having to play their roles in an actual intergalactic war. It was such a fun comedy ride that holds up well today, especially as entertainment conventions have become huge events over the years. There's also a great cast as well. Tim Allen is at his greatest in the 90s, in my opinion. Sigourney Weaver of Alien fame was a great casting decision. Sam Rockwell, is what essentially amounts to a red shirt, is great. And the late Alan Rickman. While most people think of him in his role of Snape from Harry Potter or the bad guy in Die Hard, Dr. Lazarus is always the first thing that comes to my mind.
By Grabthar's hammer, by the sons of Warvan, you shall be avenged.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming to number 3, The Iron Giant, directed by Brad Bird, who you may know better as the director of The Incredibles. So Iron Giant really has a unique look and feel that has led to somewhat of a cult following over the years, even appearing in 2018's Ready Player One. While the story is fairly similar to E.T., E.T. never took on the U.S. Army. So there's that. The Iron Giant takes place in the late 50s, so it plays up the Cold War era fears. Not only is it intricate to the plot, it also adds to that uniqueness that I was talking about. I really love the animation style, and you can see that carrying over to Brad Bird's The Incredibles. Just check out this comparison between Hogarth and Dash, and you can see that similar style. The Iron Giant is a really solid movie with heart and feeling, great characters and relationships. It also has a simple but great message: you are who you choose to be, and I love that.
Where are we? It appears we have crash landed on the planet Satalundamak. Give me that! Check it out! Let's get going! Wait for me! Go, 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 go!
Wow. We've been immortalized.
For holiday treats and Disney and Pixar Toy Story 2 fun, did somebody say McDonald's?
Great, as if your head isn't big enough already.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in number 2, Toy Story 2. Very rarely does a sequel live up to the original. Even rarer still does one surpass it. I love the first Toy Story. It was revolutionary in so many ways, and I definitely have a major connection to the first film. I love all these characters. It was a movie that defined a big part of my childhood. Like I said, Toy Story 2 doesn't have quite the same connection to me, but it was an amazing sequel that I loved a lot. It took what the first one did and just expanded on it, pushing the limits of what Pixar had done up until that point. It also has a really great story. The Toy Story films have always been about finding your place, and Toy Story 2 took that message from the first film and added a grander scope. And like I said, I love all these characters. Woody, Buzz, Slinky, Potato Head, Ham, and Rex. Toy Story 2 would have grabbed my top spot if not for one movie.
Hey now, you're an all-star.
Coming in at number 1 is The Matrix. There it is. I guess you probably already guessed that was going to be number 1, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, moving on. This is the movie that essentially defined the action movie for the next decade. The Matrix, however, that still has amazing action scenes while setting up a unique post-apocalyptic setting and when robots have taken over and are using humans as living batteries, just like in the cover of the Steelbook. I'm very proud of the Steelbook. It was such a cool concept at the time, and it used gravity-defying action philosophy and amazing effects to sell the universe that it built. It was one of those movies that gave time to thoughtful dialogue as well as off-the-wall action. We don't get too much of that here in 2018. Everything seems to be forced into a franchise format, resulting in a somewhat processed feel of everything that we're seeing. It really does make certain films feel like more of a product than a movie. The Matrix, on the other hand, it defined the transition out of the 90s and therefore grabs the #1 spot on my personal list of the top films of 1999. Obviously, I did not cover every movie of 1999 on this list. These are just the movies that I thought defined the decade, or just movies that I really wanted to talk about. I wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me on this look back at the theater of 1999. Please share your thoughts on 1999 in the comments below. I mean, I want to know which movies are your favorites. I love differing opinions. I am currently working on lists for 1998 and 2000. I've not decided which way I want to go next, so if there's one that you prefer, please comment and let me know. I'm looking forward to continuing this series, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe, or don't. I'm not a beggar, I'm Geek264, and I'll always tell you the truth.